This is a shared grave for a married couple, Manuel and Elizabeth Workman Smith. Manuel Jackson Smith was born on November 26, 1827, in Johnson County, Illinois. He was the youngest of 7 children born to Ezekiel and Nancy Choate Smith. I'm not sure if Ezekiel pronounced his name Ezekiel or Ezekiel. I'm just going with Ezekiel. When Manuel was born, his father was 53 and his mother was 48. Elizabeth Workman was born on October 27, 1834, in Jay County, Indiana. She was the second of 13 children born to Isaac and Eliza Turley Workman. When Elizabeth was born, her father was 19 and her mother was 22. In the 1850 census, Elizabeth's family had moved from Indiana to Greene County, Missouri, and they were farming for a living. I couldn't find any records on Manuel's family, but they also moved to Missouri sometime before 1850, since Manuel and Elizabeth married each other not long after the census. On Elizabeth's 16th birthday, October 27, 1850, she married 22-year-old Manuel Smith. Manuel and Elizabeth would have 14 children together. 2 children have no documentation, which probably means Elizabeth lost them in infancy or at birth. Out of their 12 living children, they had 6 boys and 6 girls. William, Nancy, George, Sylvester, Joseph, Martha, Mary, Ezekiel, Manuel Jr., Signe, Cordelia, and Melissa. I also already found a connection back to the people buried in the County Line Cemetery. Their son George's second wife was Mahala Decker, daughter of James and Cassie Decker. They didn't have any kids, and George remarried after they divorced. If you watched my video on Virgia and the Cropper kids, another circle, Mahala and her brother Daniel Decker were those siblings who took in several of the Cropper kids after their mother had passed away and their father received his life sentence for prison. But back to Manuel and Elizabeth. Elizabeth would have her children from the age of 18 until the age of 43. Manuel and Elizabeth moved their family to Ozark County, Missouri, and began their own farm. At the age of 37, in August of 1864, Manuel enlisted to serve in the Civil War. He served for the 46th Regiment, Company H, in the Missouri Infantry for the Union. He was described as being 5'10", having a light complexion, dark eyes, and light hair. He began his service on September 9, 1864, and he was quickly promoted from private to corporal only 3 weeks later on September 30th. Manuel left Elizabeth waiting for him with 7 young children, whose ages ranged from 12 to 7 months old. Manuel served for 6 months and returned home in 1865. After the Civil War, Manuel and Elizabeth spent the rest of their lives in Ozark County, Missouri, farming. At some point, the couple owned land that would later have the famous Hodgson Mill on it. Hodgson Mill is located in Sycamore, Missouri, on Bryant Creek in Ozark County. It is considered the most photographed mill in Missouri. In 1884, Manuel sold the land to Alva Hodgson and his mother, Mary. Alva was Manuel's future son-in-law. He would later marry their daughter, Mary Jane. Manuel sold the land to them for $500, which equals to about $16,000 in today's money. Alva then built Hodgson Mill over a spring on the land. I cleaned the graves of Alva and Mary's children, and I will go into more details on that story in their video. In 1893, the Smith family lost their daughter Cordelia at a young age. Cordelia had married William Hunt the year before. She died at the age of 18, giving birth to their first baby. The baby also didn't make it and wasn't named. Cordelia and her baby were buried together in Martin Cemetery in Ozark County, Missouri. Cordelia's stone has fallen over and broken in half, unfortunately. Manuel was the first to pass away on April 18, 1910, at the age of 82. The couple had been married for 59 years when he passed away. He was buried in Martin Cemetery with Cordelia. I found an article that said for 3 days after Manuel's funeral, his grandsons were having talks about their future, and the talks were taking place in his old log barn. Manuel had built the barn more than 50 years earlier with heavy logs. The article stated, "All through those many years, the barn well served its purpose. However, in the spring of 1910, it looked weather-beaten and was still a landmark and the largest barn in the community of Sycamore, Ozark County, Missouri. I don't know where Manuel's barn was built, and I did wonder if it's still standing today. After Manuel passed away, Elizabeth moved in with her daughter, Signe Freeman. Signe also lived in Ozark County with her husband and 7 children. Elizabeth didn't live long after Manuel died. She passed away only 6 months later. Elizabeth passed away on October 17, 1910, at the age of 75. In 10 days, it would have been her birthday and her first wedding anniversary without Manuel. Elizabeth was buried with Manuel and Cordelia at Martin Cemetery. What's impressive is that out of Manuel and Elizabeth's 12 children, 10 of them are buried in Martin Cemetery with them. Between their 12 kids, Manuel and Elizabeth had 98 grandchildren when they died. Their son Sylvester had the most children, having 12 with his first wife and 12 more with his second wife. The back of their stone is a carving of Heaven's Gates opening, which symbolizes the deceased person's soul entering heaven. Manuel and Elizabeth's epitaph says, "Farewell, our children all. From you a father and mother Christ doth call." I updated their grave photos on Find a Grave, added a photo of the carving on the back of their stone, and added in what their epitaph said. My family tree showed that Manuel is my 8th cousin 5 times removed. I'm not related to Elizabeth. She was listed as the wife of my 8th cousin 5 times removed. Thank you for watching. Rest in peace, Manuel and Elizabeth.